Chapter 3. Surprise Phone Calls.
What do you want, human?
You winced slightly. Why did no one bother to say your name? Both you and Tiffany were here for a month, and everyone had already started calling her by her name. Well, except for Black and Red, who called her things like my lady and honey. In front of you stood the biggest Sans you've seen so far, a foot taller and so wide he probably had to turn to the side to enter doors. Him and his brother were at the guest house, Axe and Traps. Not the best nicknames to give monsters, but Sans waved off you, pointing it out. I wanted to talk to you about an idea I had when it came to your world, you said, finding it hard to look into the huge red orb staring at you. You found yourself instead looking at the ragged blue hoodie and white t-shirt, stains on it which you were hoping were just ketchup. You overheard a very descriptive story of their background by Edge when he was explaining to Tiffany why she shouldn't go near the two.
You mean the world where me and bro were starving and had to eat human flesh to survive?
Axe said, giving a wide, sinister grin. It didn't take a genius to figure out he was trying to scare you, and by the shaking of your knees, it was working some. Yeah, here's the thing. My job here is to help Sans build the machine to send everyone back, but I would, feel bad if I helped send you back there just to
die of starvation? Dust?
You know you're a dick, you snapped, then felt your face turn pale. Oh, great idea. You talked back to the monster who could probably kill you with a butter knife, although it would probably be the axe resting against his leg. The red eye blinked once, and a wheezing sound came from the skeleton's non-existent throat. His shoulders shook, and it took a minute before the monster could speak.
Oh, jeez, kid. Looks like you have some backbone after all. Here, I thought you were going to pee in your pants.
Axe chuckled, hand slapping his knee. It might still happen. Look, I'll try to keep it short. I want to see if we can take down the barrier in your world, so when you do go back, you aren't trapped there anymore, you said, the last words almost coming out at a whisper, because Axe stopped looking entertained real fast, and you saw a hand reaching down towards the axe. Don't run. Your legs were screaming for you to do so, but you stayed in place, because even though you were scared, your gut instinct said things would only get a lot worse if you exposed your back to the monster.
Is that supposed to be a fucking joke? Or are you offering yourself and 6 other human souls for us to take when we leave?
Axe said, crazy-looking smile back in place. Human technology is a lot more advanced now. In fact, while the monsters have been staying on the surface, there have been studies of what will disrupt magic or even outright nullify it. So it's possible a device can be made to nullify the magic of the barrier and break it.
Why help us?
Axe cocked his head to the side, no longer reaching for the axe, but for the gaping hole in his skull. The fingers pulled on it, and the skeleton's face scrunched up in pain.
I mean, the pretty girl said everyone should give us a chance, not judge us by our past actions and treat us fairly, but she's not instantly jumping to save my frickin' world. So why are you risking me go crazy and chop your head off to talk about this? Why are you, the guy everyone barely pays attention to, want to stick your neck out for us?
Axe ranted, each word making him pull again and again at the hole. Stop that, you muttered, grabbing the upraised arm. You both froze. You could feel the bones giving off warmth underneath fabric. This was the first time you touched a skeleton other than an eager handshake from Papyrus and Blue when first introduced. You hastily let go, looking down at the floor. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have touched you without—
Just answer the question, kid.
Axe said, suddenly looking very tired. I'm not considered special, really, in any way. I mean, I'm smart, very smart. That's why Sans hired me. But it's like you said, no one really pays attention to me because I guess I'm not much to look at. It's kind of selfish, really, but if I can pull off helping you, pull off saving your kingdom, well. He finally looked up, squaring your shoulders. That would make me really cool, right? The skeleton smiled again, a more sincere one, no malice in it.
Yeah, kid, It would make you cool times 10.
You jerked awake when your cell phone went off. It was playing the song Mr. Blue Sky, so you knew it was either Axe or Traps. No, the Sands are Papyrus. You didn't live there anymore. No need to use those lousy nicknames. You picked up the cell phone, putting it to your ear. Morning, you muttered. Probably should say a lot more about the whole getting kicked out thing, but brain wasn't quite functioning right yet.
Kid, listen carefully. Did Papyrus red, black, or blue call you yet this morning?
No, you said with a yawn, wiping drool off your chin.
Tell them no. In fact, block them and just ignore them. Don't give them the time of day to even give a response.
Are you telling him, Sans?
Yeah, Paps, I'm explaining now. Look, just forget what they say. They made their bed and now they need a lie in it.
Sans, you're not making sense, you said, sitting up, noticing the pause at not using a nickname.
Right, so me and Bro know everything which happened last night. You caught the chick screwing Blueberry, and of course everyone took her side like usual and kicked you out.
There's, a bit more to it than...
Yeah, I'm sure, and we can talk about it later. Now here's what happened this morning. Chick sabotaged the machine.
She what? 6 months of work down the drain. Days upon days of pulling parts and wiring together. One time you got sprayed with fluids and smelled like a skunk for a whole month when trying to get tubes in place. Black for the first time stopped calling you human and went with skunky. All your work and suffering to create the masterpiece of science just for her to... Well, that's just peachy.
Oh, that's not the craziest thing to happen. Or, well, the worst. When she sabotaged the machine, it caused an electric surge, hitting Stretch and turned him to dust.
Is Blue okay?
Don't know and don't care. His own fault for having bad taste in women.
Your Sans said bluntly. You winced as you wondered if you should call him. Then again, what would you say? Oh, hey, it's the guy who said he liked you while you had your dick in a girl. Just wanted to see how you were doing. Maybe it was cowardly, but you didn't want to talk to him. Best to let his cousins console him.
Then, after the electric surge, there was a big flash of light in the house. Tiffany, Classic, Edge, and Mutt all disappeared. Then, the freaking thing explodes afterwards.
You found yourself staring at the wall, trying to process everything he just said. Explodes as in...
Nothing more than scraps and pieces again. And you know what that means.
They're going to try to get me to come back to fix it, you said with absolute certainty. The so-called machine fixing team was made up of 4, Sans, Stretch, you, and Red. Sans and Stretch knew the most about how the machine worked, leaving you the third most knowledgeable, and Red dead last. Out of everyone on the team, Red put in the least effort, only coming down to the basement to help when it suited him.
You understand now why I'm calling, kid? Those a-holes are going to try to threaten and bully you back. And you know what? You don't owe them a thing. This is your real buzz trying to give you a warning of what's going to happen.
Yeah, but... Sans, the machine needs to be fixed if Project Battering Ram is going to work, you said, shifting under the covers.
My science know-how ain't what it used to be, but I know this. The machine will take us back to exactly the moment we left it when it finally works. Look, I do want it fixed, but I see no reason for you to suffer for it to get done. Cream Puff can find other brains to help him instead of you, even if it takes longer.
Okay, I won't come back to help with the machine, but I am still working on Battering Ram and I'll keep you updated, you said, thinking of your progress on breaking the barrier. Your focus so far has been electromagnetic waves. What studies you found on it showed it could cause all sorts of disruptions with magic if there was a concentration of them.
I know, kid. You give me a heads up, though, if they cut off the funding for your research. In fact, as the guys invested in it, me and Paps give you permission to use the funding to find yourself a new nice place.
Sans, I can't do that, you said. Just getting a bank account to fund Battering Ram had been like pulling teeth. Classic Sans finally relented, but warned he'd be watching the spending like a hawk.
Oh yeah, you can, kid. You see, without Classic here, the others can't bully us like they used to. They give you any trouble with the funding, They'll be starting a fight they might not win.
I'll think about it, but try not to do anything crazy like really fight with them, you said, chewing your lip. You were actually in kind of a bad spot. The income now suddenly gone, and even though you saved up, a lot of the money went to your student loan. And it definitely felt like sweet justice for them to pay, since they kicked you out without even a day's notice.
I can't make you do it, kid. All I can hope is you, well, show the same backbone I hear you had last night. Made me smile when I heard how you stood up to the chick and told her you weren't fooled by the innocent act.
Thanks, you said, feeling suddenly shy.
Don't be a stranger, kid. Now go find yourself a decent place.
Bye, human. Can't wait to talk to you again.
Bye, Paps. Bye, Sans. You almost yelled, feeling better. Then you realized half the people you used to hang out with were either gone or dead. Now you felt guilty for feeling better. Hanging up, you went and grabbed your laptop. You typed up an email for Papyrus, explaining how you got word of what happened. You wouldn't be returning, but you were attaching all relevant files you had about the machine to the email. Further files and documentations should be in Sans's room. You even gave some suggestions on how they should get started, what machine parts to look for first, and so forth. Then, you ended it with sending condolences for what happened to Stretch. It was polite, to the point. Felt more like an email you send to coworkers after leaving a company than friends. But you weren't really friends with any of them. You were just Tiffany Understudy. Your thoughts were interrupted at a phone call. It was from Classic Papyrus. You almost ignored it. You really did. But it just felt so gutless to not even speak to the skeleton if you were going to refuse to come back to help with his brother's disappearance. Hi, Papyrus. Did you get my email? You said when answering the phone.
Yes, human, and your suggestions sound very good. It's just, we really need you here, human, to help us. We're willing to pay like before, even pay more this time.
You gritted your teeth, really wishing you had taken your Sans' advice and just ignored the call. They weren't even apologizing for ganging up on you, for kicking you out the minute they weren't happy with you. Look, Papyrus, there's plenty of other humans you can hire who can help just as much. In fact, you probably want to hire someone who already graduated college instead of a person still attending it.
But none of those humans know monster technology, human. I'm sure we can come to some agreement.
Papyrus?
Now listen here, human. You will return at once. You will take the same pay, and you will be thankful we're letting you return.
You didn't know whether to laugh or cry at how Black was literally demanding you return and be happy about it. Just what delusional world did the guy live in? No thanks, you said cheekily, hanging up. Then you blocked the number, and blocked Black's number and Red's number. You almost blocked Blue's number, but stopped yourself. You turned back to your laptop. You were about to look for a place before the phone call, planning to use your savings. New plan now. You were using the funds to get yourself a nice place. You browsed all locations for rent near your college, price not being an option. There was a condo available, as in you can move in by the end of the week. You typed up an email to contact the owner, determined to do what Sans suggested. Keep away from those guys and live your life. The problem with making a silent oath to have nothing to do with people is it was hard to keep if the said people showed up on campus right after you finished class.
Hey, kid, how about we take a walk?
Red said with a grin from outside the building. Got a couple of glances, but not many. The college had its fair share of monster and human students. I already told Papyrus I'm not interested. You technically were part of the team to fix the machine longer than me, Red. You shouldn't even need my help, you said, getting a wince from Red. Looks like all his lazy work ethics were coming back to bite him.
Sorry, kid, but we need the best. And you are the best. I know things turned, crappy, but money-wise will make it worth your while to take the job of
Tiffany Understudy?
What?
That's the job, right? You're trying to hire me back as Tiffany Understudy. I mean, you really want one more than ever since the actual Tiffany has gone God knows where, you said, hand tightening on your backpack strap. The big skeleton stared at you for a minute before looking away.
Okay, I deserve that. But it doesn't change the fact our brothers are gone and we need your help to find them. So let me make this clear.
Red stepped forward, using his height to his full advantage, staring down at you with empty sockets.
Either take the fucking job, or you're gonna get a bad... Hey!
You were already walking away, or, more importantly, to something. The police officers standing at the corner. There was always one near each building. Ironically, security was increased to protect the monster students who would probably be targeted by bigots. "Excuse me, officer," you said, getting the attention of an older man in a police uniform. "The skeleton over there in the red sweater isn't a student here. He's trespassing. Oh, and he just threatened me," you said, pointing to Red. The said skeleton went from badass attitude to looking like a goldfish out of water. The officer's eyes went from you to the skeleton, and he started approaching Red. Sweat began forming on the skeleton's head. "Sir, I'm going to need to see your ID."
Nope.
The word ended with Red disappearing in a blink. The officer took a step back, hand reaching for his gun. "It's okay. I think he just teleported. I used to work for him and quit. Now he's kind of harassing me," you said, feeling your heartbeat going a mile a minute. You were actually surprised by your own actions. You stood up to scary big Red. Well, went to an officer and asked him to stand up to scary big Red. Still, though, a big leap from the nerd who let Red insult him. "We'll use the security cameras to get his picture sent out to the rest of the officers. If he shows up around here, then we'll know right away he doesn't belong. You may want to place a restraining order on him," the officer said, then grabbed a radio on his chest. From the sound of it, he was contacting the security office of the college. "I'll think about it," you said, then gave your name and student ID to the officer. You really weren't planning to get a restraining order. What good would it do against a guy who could teleport? Now that you thought about it, chances are the next place they'd show up would be at your condo. "Right. I can do this. I'm not going to let them push me around anymore," you said to yourself, but your hands shook a little as you grabbed your phone. Part of you wanted to go to your own Sans and Papyrus and explain what was going on, but you knew it could lead to a fight where either of them could be hurt or dusted. You weren't going to risk that. You ordered some equipment online, something you hoped would put a stop to this harassing once and for all.